broadcasting at high school football stadiums, basketball and volleyball courts, baseball and softball diamonds, next to the wrestling mats, at lacrosse fields, and the soccer pitch. If you would like to know more about how to get your favorite school on radio or webcast, contact us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Coach has enjoyed his time with you during the Sports Zone show. Thank you again. And if you're enjoying this show or would like to sponsor any of our broadcasts, you can contact us via email at coach@indianasrn.org. Thank you again for listening and watching Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. And don't forget to join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Sports Zone. It's the Sports Zone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN sports team, made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
It is the Sports Zone on this wonderful day. Thank you very much for joining us. Getting up and early because this girl doesn't have school. Well, you got some e-learning. It's Izzy Reed from Greenwood Christian Academy. You got some e-learning to do, don't you?
Yes. Just trying to stay in it, even though we're at home.
Are you shooting any baskets in the driveway? That's the first question I have to ask you.
Yes, lots of shots. My siblings have been a huge help with that. They've now been named my all-time rebounders, right? I help me get as many shots up as I can. So.
Well, are they going to pass your record? Because if they do, you gotta get back and play basketball in the winter next year.
They're getting some good practice in for sure.
Okay, make sure they properly rebound.
Right.
Coach Freeman would be upset if they're not fully extending the arms and making sure to get the outlet pass.
Right.
Talk a little bit about this year's basketball run for Greenwood Christian, Indiana SRN. I think we broadcast maybe 20-year games this year, which it seems like every single time you guys were playing, we were on the air. We had a great turnout of people listening, and then I got to watch you a couple of times, and then we got to do the semi-state, which I think was God's blessing for us. Talk a little bit about this year's team and what you felt about the whole entire year.
There's no question that we had a really, really special team. We had no seniors the year prior, so we knew right from the get-go of this past season that we had big goals, we had big expectations, and we were going to work hard from the first day of the season to our last game. And looking back at it, I feel like we did just that. All the girls on our team, it was something very, very special. Each day we came into practice wanting to get better, wanting to work on basketball, but we always started practice off with a devotion or a prayer, and there's something to be said about that, I think, for sure. And just the opportunities that we were presented with this season and the challenges that we overcame, I'm very proud of all the girls and everything that we accomplished. And we just lost one senior, Alexis Mead, and she was such an amazing teammate, girl, and basketball player. But we're coming into the next season ready with the same big expectations for sure.
We got to go to games very early, as you know, Izzy. We try to set up, especially on TV nights, that we set up an hour before game time, or even sometimes an hour and a half to 2 hours. We witnessed that prayer time at devotion time. My wife constantly reminded me of saying, look at these girls, God comes first. And it really did. There was some wild times. We saw you do some wild things before those things, but when it came down to serious of devotion time, prayer time, and that was led by that senior, but it was led by many, many people. And at the end of the season, God was real pleased with, I think, the outcome of what you guys had accomplished.
Yeah, that was our goal for sure. if you look at some of our games, like some things that we would always talk about is giving 100% all of the time, never giving up. And I think a perfect example of that was our first game, our morning game at regionals. We had every opportunity to kind of give up at the end, but we didn't. We persevered. We came together. We worked as a team, and we were able to pull out a win at the end. So that's one of my favorite games to look back on, just seeing how we didn't give up and we just kept persevering and working hard. So,
not only are you a basketball player, you're also a volleyball player. I think you also play softball.
Yeah.
I think you also knit, and I think you do. What else do you do? I mean, do you have enough time in the day to do everything that you're supposed to do?
Well, I'm the oldest of 5. There's 5 kids in my family, so I am super, super busy with sports. I play club volleyball and AAU, so I don't have a ton of free time. But with the limited free time that I do have, I try to spend as much of it with my siblings and just getting all that family time that we miss out on because we are on the go so much. And so that's one of the things I love doing. Like, I've loved this quarantine has brought a lot of challenges, but it has been a blessing that I've been able to spend more time with my siblings and just, do more things with them. It's been really nice.
Well, you got them rebounding your baskets. Come on, Izzy. It's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah.
Got one more question before we take a break. Mom also is assistant coach. How tough is that on game day when you didn't maybe have a good game or the expectations that you didn't get done? How tough is that for mom and daughter or mom and player to maybe put that away when you get in the car?
I would say, I am probably my biggest critic. So if I didn't play great, I'm going to be pretty hard on myself. And my mom knows that. All my coaches know that. They know that when I don't play great, they all know that I'm pretty upset about myself or pretty upset at myself. And so I think just when we get in the car, she just she asks, like, okay, how are you feeling about everything? And she'll tell me her thoughts, but I ask for them. I want to get better. I want all the criticism and input that any of my coaches have to give, because every single day I want to be getting better. And, so yes, it may be hard for some people, but I think that I'm just thankful to have her and all my other coaches who are constantly wanting me to get better and giving me things to work on and criticizing me in a good way. Helpful criticism. Constructive criticism.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Because, I get that all the time from my lovely wife. And you need those people. Iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Hey, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, you got time for one more segment?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back after this. You're listening to The Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7,
and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Keith Myers with you on the hotline. Izzy Reed, basketball player, volleyball player, softball player, and dishwasher. And thanks for joining us today, Izzy. We appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning, Izzy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about this new thing I found out today, that you are going to be a nominee for Ms. Basketball. What do you think about that?
I was shocked, honestly, when I saw it. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I'm honored that I was even named one of those contenders, but as awesome of a thing that is to be nominated for, it doesn't really, it's not really going to change much of what I'm going to do or anything like that. It just makes me more excited for the season and excited to be back on the court with my girls. I mean, as a team, we have the goal to making it to state and winning state. So whether I got the nomination or not, that's our goal. And every single day I'm hoping to get better and better. So
let's talk a little bit about Class A basketball. Greenwood Christian, in the last 6 years or so, has over 100 wins. Coach Weems himself has broken that mark. Talk a little bit about 1A basketball. A lot of people think 1A basketball is not very competitive, but you beg to differ because it is a tough road, especially coming from the South, to get to the semi-state.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have some pretty tough competition in the South just for 1A. You have Trinity Lutheran, Lagodi, and then just in that regional, Tecumseh. Those are 3 pretty tough teams. Then in our regional, you have Jacksonville and North Central, all of which can compete at many levels, 1A through 4A. And so I think that this year we were able to make it to the semi-state, which is a huge accomplishment for sure, 1A or 4A, regardless of what class we're in. Making it to the semi-state is a huge deal. But I know for our girls team back at GCA, we aren't finished. We got to semi-state last year, so that's kind of the expectation now, and we just want to build on that. So hopefully we're looking at state next year. So that's kind of our goal. We know that there's going to be some tough teams that we're going to run into, but we're going to work in the off season. We're going to get better and be ready for those teams.
Talk about who your hero is. Who's your favorite person in the whole entire world that you look up to?
Oh my goodness.
Tough question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't use Steve McClure, Keith Myers, or Sean Crawl, because we already know how special we are in your heart for that. So, other than those 3 knuckleheads that have been following you, and Justin Griffiths, who've been following you around all year long, but who do you get inspiration from, and who do you look up to, and who do you get your advice from?
Man, that's a tough question. I don't know if I can name one person, but I definitely would say that just throughout my high school experience, my freshman year, I was on a team with a couple amazing seniors. I don't know if you remember the Audrey twins.
Oh, yes.
And Sierra Gilson and some of those seniors, and just teammates that I've had over the years, like Alexis, for example, or Sarah Mangan, like all of those girls, even current teammates who aren't older than me, like my own fellow junior or now senior Savannah Fry and Katie Potter, like and all of those girls have encouraged me over the years, and it's because of my teammates that like I am the player I am today. They encourage me, they're there for me, they're my friends, but they push me every single day to be better. And so I guess they're all kind of my heroes in a way.
Yeah.
And I look up to them more than they know because it's a lot of fun. An understatement, it's a lot of fun to play with your best friends. Do something you love with your best friends. And so being on the court with such amazing girls like that makes me want to be better, for sure.
You're a special young lady. We thank you for you spend some time with us today. Hope that you have great success on the volleyball court this fall, and we'll be watching you there. But thank you very much for spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you again, okay?
Thank you.
It is the Sports Zone. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sports Zone Show. Good morning. Glad that you joined us. And joining us now, boy, it's been a long time since I talked to you, Ken. It's Ken Sterling from back in the day where you were 1430. And I think my buddy Brent Young and I was doing a Broad Ripple game, and you were doing the same game. I think we had an overtime game that night you and I talked, and it's been a long time since we talked.
It has been a long time. Media is a strange business. It's good to reconnect.
So as we go through this, what is, I know you've been doing a lot. You've been writing a book, and you do this, you do your Facebook thing in the morning, keeping busy. I know the other day I saw you, I think it was like 35 degrees and it was freezing and you were still out trying your best to keep warm.
That's what we do. You know, it's all based on the lighting. As sad as that is, if it's 35 degrees out, but the sunrise is really nice and there's a little cloud cover, the lighting's just too good to pass up. How vain is that?
Oh my goodness! Just leave it up to you. Leave it up to a sports guy to look at the lighting. Just it has to be perfectly. You know, radio guys like me, we don't care what the lighting looks like because I'm bald, I'm fat, and I don't have any hair. And when I do our webcast games, not many people pay attention to that anyway.
Well, as long as I've got to look at the kind of the viewfinder as I shoot the Breakfast with Kent video, as I got to have the lighting be right. So I'm vain in that way. I think I learned it from Chris Hagan over at Fox 59.
See, blame it on Chris, because Chris can't get to the phone real quick enough to call you and say stop. Talk a little bit about your book. I know that you're really keen on your book, and you do so much. Talk a little bit about your book.
My book is called Oops, The Art of Learning from Mistakes and Adventures, and really it's just kind of a compendium of screw-ups that I've had, both personally and professionally, that I feel like I can learn from and I have learned from and that others can learn from. Some of them are funny. Some of them are not quite as funny as the others. But, you know, it's kind of a quick book. It's something that you can keep kind of on the bathroom shelf. And it's good bathroom reading. It's and I try to make it as affirmative as I can. You know, I believe in mistakes of commission, not mistakes of omission. I've committed a lot of mistakes, and I encourage others to do that and to look at their mistakes as learning opportunities rather than something that they're going to regret having done for the rest of their lives. Mistakes are kind of, to me, the sweet marrow of life.
So when you did this book, did you have in mind that people are going to be locked in for 3, 4, 9 weeks so they can read your book? Because, as you said, it's a quick read. Is book sales, I guess, increasing now since we've had this virus?
Well, they are, and every day, and the reason I think is because now I've got time. Instead of going to Pacers and Colts and IU and Purdue and Butler stuff and reporting on what they're doing, in the absence of them doing anything, what I'm doing is reading a chapter of the book every day on Facebook Live and then on Periscope and Twitter. And because I'm doing that, there's more interest in the book, and I think people are ordering it at a higher level, and that kind of makes me feel good. But when I sat down to write the book, what I wanted to do was just write down a bunch of stories. And really the thing kind of gathered its form as I did it. And then I worked with a guy named Mark Monteith, who's been a long-time sports writer in town.
Good guy.
And yeah, Mark's a good friend. And so Mark kind of guided me a little bit through the process. He's written 4 books, and he was like, here's kind of, I think, how what you've done can be shaped, and it can have some form instead of a bunch of disconnected stories. It sort of fits under this tent, so why don't you shape it that way? And that's exactly what I did, and I really like kind of how it's held up as sort of, instead of just disconnected stories, here is actually something that you can read, learn from, and understand that making mistakes is fine as long as you learn from the errors that you've made.
Tell people how they can get the book and how and where can they pick that up? Can they pick that up online? Can they order it from Amazon? Where can they find your book?
Exactly. You can go to barnesandnoble.com. You can go to goodreads.com. You can go to Amazon. I voiced the audiobook, And so you can get the audio book, you can get an ebook, you can get the hardcover book, whatever you want. And if you see me out and about, I'm happy to sign it for you. I'm vain enough to manage the lighting of Breakfast with Kent, but I'm not so vain that I'm going to sit behind a table and hope that people show up for me to sign and buy my book. I'm not going that far with it.
Let's just wait till everything gets cleared, and maybe we can get you to do an Indiana SRN live signed thing, and maybe we can do a show in the afternoon where you can sign, and we can get people to get that once everything gets cleared out of the way. How about that?
That I would do in a minute. Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You've been around Indianapolis forever. In 2 minutes or less, what maybe is the high point of your experience here in Indianapolis with sports?
Yeah. I came here from Chicago in 1993 because it's a great place to raise a kid.
I will not hold that against you.
Our son at the time was 4 years old, and this just made all kinds of sense. We love the vibe of the community and always have, so we moved down here. My highlight was launching 1070 The Fan. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. Hiring guys like Bob Kravitz and Eddie White and Dan Dockich, Michael Grady as well, to do sports talk radio, the first real full-time sports talk radio station in Indianapolis. Being able to launch that was a huge honor. And then for the time I worked at WIBC, I really think that the work we did with the Salvation Army and putting together the Radiothon to benefit the Salvation Army, having that thing is still going strong and has raised over $4 million for the Salvation Army of Central Indiana. I take great pride in that as well.
You talk about all the things that you've done, and the cool thing, and we'll go to take a 2-minute commercial break here, but when you come back, I want you to talk about your play-by-play days as well, because it was kind of neat that year that we were launching some things, and 1430 was at the same game. We were, I think, 7 games in a row. Ken, I thought you were. I actually thought you were stalking me and Brent, but we'll talk about those days when we come back. Okay.
Sure.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more from Ken Sterling on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone with Keith Myers. Thanks for joining us this morning. Don't forget to look us up on Facebook at Indiana Sports Radio Network, or Twitter at Indiana SRN, and or of course you can email me anytime, coach at Indiana SRN. If you have any questions about the show, just put down who you would like to hear from, and we'll try to contact them, and we'll do that. It's coach at indianasrn.org. Ken Sterling joins us. Ken, as I left you, we talked about that string. I do believe that was probably 2 years ago or so, where 1430 became to do some high school basketball. I think 7 games in a row, you and I sat beside each other, and I still thought you were stalking me, but you guys developed something there. And how well did that go off for you guys? I know you know what we do, but how well did that take off for your audience?
It was to allay your fears about being stalked. We picked the games that we picked because they were the best games on the nights where we had a hole to be able to broadcast. So if the Indy Fuel weren't playing and we didn't have any play-by-play obligations on those nights where we could find a good high school game, we'd go out and do it. So we'd call the ADs and we'd set things up, and we sold it. And I think that had we focused on that sell a little bit better, we could have made some more money, and we could have continued it in subsequent years. Sadly, we were kind of forced to discontinue it because you got to get paid, and it costs money to have talent come out and do stuff. Even if it's me doing it, you got to pay me to do it a little bit. And but we did it for fun, and we did it because it's a great showcase for the kids. This is a terrific community where it comes to high school basketball popularity. The more local you can do, the better. I think that there's an obligation with a radio station that has a local license, like CBS Sports 1430 did and does, where you need to go out and you need to be a part of the community, and you need to share the stories of kids as they battle adversity and they get out there and, they compete against one another. I just think it's a great way to do that. I enjoy high school basketball tremendously. My kid played high school basketball at Cathedral, and I just love it here. I went to high school down in New Albany, which is always a hotbed of high school basketball down there in New Albany and Jeff and Floyd Central. I just love it. So it was a great excuse for me to go out at night, pick up a couple extra bucks, sell some spots, and go watch and talk about high school ball.
So you just gave us a compliment. What we're doing is a good thing, right, Ken?
Absolutely. What you're doing is fantastic. I love what you guys do.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. I'll pay you a little $3 royalty after that, I guess. I don't know. It was just kind of cool. And, you look at how the season ended this year, 64 teams could not move on. But I tell you what, the state tournament, and I know it's been a month or so that we've talked about it, but I think it's 6 weeks ago that the state tournament should have been played. But, man, what a state tournament we were going to have.
Yeah, I feel terrible for a kid like Anthony Leal, who, if things had broken right down at Bloomington South, could have won a state championship with an undefeated record, and that's a great legacy for a kid to have. That entire Bloomington South community, I think, would have enjoyed that. You got a kid like Caleb First. I was really looking forward to seeing him and his teammates at Blackhawk Christian play again. Lawrence Central, really, really good this year. Lawrence North, terrific. They played each other in the sectionals, so obviously they both weren't going to move on. But, it was just a terrific year of high school basketball. And then to have the plug pulled like that, especially on the seniors, just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think Bobby Cox has done a nice job of thinking about that and thinking about the human aspect of that. And, there were a lot of people that knocked him on social media for a little bit. But, Bobby Cox has been very loyal to us. And he's done an outstanding job as the commissioner as his reign is ending. And here comes Paul Neidig to pick up things in the fall. Hats off to Bobby Cox. Great job of making those decisions.
I think that Bobby Cox always had the kids' best interest at heart, and he didn't suffer fools, and he didn't bow to public pressure about things. He ran that organization as he thought he should. I always had great respect for his integrity. His open door policy where I could walk in there and ask him a question, because our studios were right across the street from the IHSAA. So I could walk over there and say, hey, Commissioner, what were you thinking? And we could record something or not. And he was very forthcoming. And some people saw that as arrogance, but I saw it as confidence, and I saw it as outstanding leadership.
It's been a pleasure catching up with you again. We got to do this again. And then tell people your Facebook at 8 o'clock in the morning. You click on Ken Sterling. Sometimes he looks appropriate. Most of the time his hair is combed. He does have his opinion about some things, which I really kind of like. Check that out real quick. And then your book, one more time, how can they catch your book, Oops?
You can go on Amazon and search Oops and Kent or Kent Sterling. It pops right up. The cover's yellow and red. And you know what? It's 244 pages. It's 37 chapters, but it's a quick read. And if you get the audiobook, then that's something. If you got to go on a trip or something, you can pop that in, kind of enjoy it. I enjoyed reading it or writing it, and I hope people enjoy reading it.
From a Boilermaker to a Kentucky Wildcat, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
My pleasure. Thanks.
We'll take a break. When we come back, a lot more for you. It's the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052.
PNC Bank has technology to help make banking easier, like Pnc Easy Lock, so you can easily lock your credit card when its maximum limit differs from its vertical limit. And Cloverflex, for when you need to take credit cards when no one carries cash, or requesting a call to help get a new credit card, one that hasn't followed the family goldfish. PNC, make today the day.
Call Tammy at the McCordsville branch, 317-335-2555.
It is the Sports Zone. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, you had Izzy Reed early, and then you had Ken Sterling, and now we have Anthony Thomas, the head coach for the Lady Mohawks down in Waldron. Hello, Coach. How are you?
Hello. Great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm glad that you're up this morning. I know it's about noon now, so you're up and you're refreshed. And how's things going for you?
Things are going pretty well. Family seems to be pretty healthy. Team's healthy. Just waiting it out like everybody else is to see if we can do anything in June or July and get our summer program going.
You know, in the month of May where we're at, we're used to talking about the Indianapolis 500, but we can talk about high school basketball anytime. The Lady Mohawks had an up and down season, but you guys played really well come to late at the end of the season.
We did. We gained experience as the season went along. I mean, we started out the season probably starting 4 sophomores and a junior. So we knew it was going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Started the season 3-6 and ended the season 12-12, made the sectional final and sectional 60. So all in all, it was a pretty good season. Along the way, I think we ended up with the 9th toughest 1A schedule. We played multiple ranked teams. So for a young, inexperienced team, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, you talk about that inexperience. By the time they were sectional play, you were pretty much playing really well up to par, and you were a tough out.
We were. We just we avenged the loss. I think Southwestern had beat us early in the season by like 25, and we matched up with them in the first round and avenged that loss, beat an Oldenburg team for the second time, and then ran against Scott and the Jacksonville Lady Eagles, which has a stranglehold on our sectional 60. And, lost to him again in the finals when we were leading in the fourth. They're a tough program to beat. Good kids, great coach. And I suspect if we want to win it this year, we'll run through them again.
Yeah, we talked to him a few weeks ago, and he's pretty excited. He's chopping at the bit. Coach, talk a little bit about the growth of your program. What has got kids on fire? Because we're hearing a lot now from Waldron and that Southern District making some noise in Class 1.
Well, last year was my third year running the program. When I started, we didn't have a JV team. We didn't really have a youth program. And so when I took over, we jumped in. I've got some really good coaches at the lower levels. We have a youth program going now, which it's free. We don't charge them anything. And kids are coming to games, pep bands starting to come to games. It's overall culture shift for our program and getting us back to where we need to be, which is a respected program. That's the way we were for years, and then we went on a lull. So it's really exciting time to be a Mohawk. We've got good numbers in all the way up through our grades, and looking forward to see what the future holds.
And it doesn't hurt that Indiana SRN put you on TV 2 years ago, and this year, that doesn't hurt either.
No, it's nice. We enjoy the coverage. The kids love watching it, listening to the commentary. It's better than watching just ragged old film without any volume. So it's good to get exposure for our program. I'm happy for the kids. Very happy for the kids.
We say that but in tongue in cheek, but Al Weems now says that the kids come in with popcorn and a soda during film watch because they want to know who's going to say what about who, and it's a lot of fun. And I don't know if I would be allowed to have popcorn in my coaching days, but hey, if that's the way kids want to learn, that's the best way to do it, and they're entertained by that.
Oh, absolutely. To watch themselves on TV, listen to what the commentators have to say, good or bad. These kids are groomed to accept that. And I think there's some self-awareness. I think you make changes. I think you get better because of it. You listen to the coach say something over and over and over, but if you hear somebody else, I think it starts to resonate. So I think it's good all the way around, and we enjoy the coverage for sure.
Talk a little bit about when you walked through that program, now that the kids are developing. You talk about your young program for the younger kids. The fundamentals, are they catching on pretty quickly? And the game has changed from when we played this game. The weight room is very important as well. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, we've been working on getting our weight program ramped up. We've had it. It's getting more serious now. And then you add in the nutrition side, and you have to have it for a while for it to become a habit. And then when kids see results, then it really starts to work. And for us, the fundamentals down at the lower level, the youth league that we have, that all starts, that's great, but you have to understand the game of basketball. And to play for the varsity, for Lady Mohawks, you have to have an understanding of the game. And I think sometimes we start out a little slow every season because that ramp up with new group is a little bit different. But once they catch on, like this year, this group that I have this year, we'll start probably 4 juniors and a senior. We're pretty experienced, so they'll get a lot more leeway than the team that we had this year. But it all starts at the bottom. You have to have a youth program. You have to have a JV team. You have to get kids excited. And when you do that, I think you set the foundation for years for your program to at least be competitive.
We cover Greenwood Christian Academy, and that those are the games that we have covered on the webcast. And a couple of years ago, you and Al did the pregame show, and I had to break you guys up so you wouldn't be in the WWE and talking smack. But you talk about the Greenwood Christian Academy team; they're going to be pretty loaded as well. That whole entire southern region is going to be a dogfight.
Absolutely. I'm friends with Scott from Jacksonville, Allen from Greenwood Christian, and I went over and watched their regional game, and it was tough for me having 2 friends battle it out. But the winner of that regional represented our regional very well. And to win a sectional this year and to make it to the regional, there's not a cupcake. Sectional 60 for girls basketball is as tough as you find in 1A for girls. And if you happen to survive that, then you're going to run into some really tough competition. Alan's probably going to be there again. No pressure on him, but I'm guessing he is. And his kids are kind of like my kids and Scott's kids. They play hard, they play the right way, and it's not hard to root for those kind of opponents.
Well, they also all play together during the summer, so they talk smack talk at the park. So, that's another reason too. Coach, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your favorite memory as a coach, okay?
All right.
We'll take this 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone, Keith Myers, Anthony Thomas joins us. He is the head coach of the Waldron Lady Mohawks. And before we left you, your question was your favorite memory as a coach. You got a couple?
Yeah, oddly enough, probably my favorite memory coming a loss. I think you can learn from losses, but it was our 5 overtime sectional final 2 years ago against Jacksonville. That's to watch both teams and to watch kids compete for what would that be, 52 minutes of basketball.
Yeah.
And to lay it all on the line and never give up and keep battling back. I mean, I think that is when you want to have an identity for your program, I think that's where you start. And it's been something that we have tried to grow on. I had I had 4 seniors and a sophomore at that time, and the 4 seniors before I had started in varsity coaching, I had them in junior high. And so it was a special group to me, and to share that final game with them, and at that time would be now our incoming juniors. They were freshmen. Both groups played a part in it, and then I have a daughter in there, which will be a senior. It was a pretty special time. It still hurts losing the ball game, but if you want to be remembered for something as far as a group goes, that's the way to be remembered. From my understanding, it's a record tournament game, I guess, for length.
believe it or not, that was Scott's favorite memory as well. He talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, he has a little bit better memory of it than I do. But
his memory is he was cutting down the nets. I think your memory was that you were going home while they were cutting down the nets.
Yeah, it's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But then when you come out, you come out from under the ether and you get away from the game, you realize how special it was for kids to compete that hard for that long.
Remembering that game and reading about that game, the great thing about, and even Scott said, the officiating stayed so consistent in that whole entire game that even the officials were shocked that the game ended because it was such a good game.
It was, and I think we ended up having only 6 or 7 turnovers for 52 minutes of basketball, which is pretty amazing. They made it to the free throw line a ton more than we did, but they were legitimate calls. We just couldn't keep our hands off of them after a while. But it was sad there had to be a loser there, but those seniors that meant so much to our program, turning our program around, that was a way to go out if you're going to go out.
Last thing, Coach, you're an old school guy just like I am. Are you glad class basketball is now a staple? I mean, it's been around a long time, but a lot of people now are looking forward to class basketball and football. The state tournaments seem to be more intended because of the fun of that. Are you real happy with of class sports?
I am an old school guy, but I'm fine with it. I think it creates rivalries or it creates great games that may not otherwise be there. If you're a Class A team, one of however many there are every day, when you go to practice, you're working towards a sectional and you probably have a legitimate shot at a sectional. And that can go all the way up the line, 2A, 3A, 4A. So I'm a fan of class basketball. I'm perfectly fine with it. I know there's some purists out there that do not like it. But if you come to Waldron for sectional 60 for the last 3 years, you can't find a better crowd. And
the gymnasium is the best floor I've ever witnessed. And it shows well on TV, as you've seen the video of ours. What a great floor that is. I love that basketball floor.
Well, we appreciate that. We have great administration, great AD, great principal, great superintendent, and they take and all the kids, they take pride in our facilities. There's things that you can't see. Our locker rooms and things like that are really nice, but it's taking pride. We have a great community, and when you have great leadership and a great community, you can have things like that, and you can take care of it. And we're obviously very proud of our school and our gymnasium and our whole campus, as a matter of fact.
Coach, I can remember when I refereed at Waldron, and I had a dress in the janitor's locker room back in the day. So it's gone a lot better than what it was way back in 1980.
Oh, yeah, we've come a long way since then, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Coach, thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
You bet. That wraps it up. That wraps it up for us today. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Don't forget now that praise and worship music's coming up your way right up.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
Hello, this is Deb from Indiana SRN, and I'm here to say thank you to our loyal sponsors, schools, coaches, and friends. Your support continues to keep high school athletics on internet radio and webcast. It is our goal to highlight student athletes throughout our great state. We are scheduled to broadcast over 300 games this season, and you can find us broadcasting at high school football stadiums, basketball and volleyball courts, baseball and softball diamonds, next to the wrestling mats, at lacrosse fields, and the soccer pitch. If you would like to know more about how to get your favorite school on radio or webcast, contact us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Coach has enjoyed his time with you during the Sports Zone show. Thank you again. And if you're enjoying this show or would like to sponsor any of our broadcasts, you can contact us via email at coach@indianasrn.org. Thank you again for listening and watching Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. And don't forget to join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Sports Zone.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.